Welcome back, everybody. For today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you another minimal bag test. We're going to be looking to fill the slot of neutral throwing putter / putting putter. For me, both of those mean one disc. Putting and throwing putter is the same disc for me. So I've got 3 discs I'm excited to share with you today. Some you may recognize from another video, namely the MVP Ohm. We'll be testing that one up against the Infinite Discs Tomb and the Axiom Proxy. So what we'll be doing is 4 different holes or throws, testing each of these discs against each other, seeing which one provides the most accuracy and distance. Those are the things I'm after with this slot. For me, the neutral putter slot, my goal is to have that cover from approach out to where I would be comfortable using my neutral driver, my max distance driver. And we'll see how they do. I'm excited to share with you guys. The Proxy I've had for a little while, got it as a gift. This is has the numbers 3, 4, -1, 0.5. Had to think a bit for a second there. The Ohm is 2501. Got this one in the Gyropalooza box in December. So I've had it for a little while. And Infinite Discs Tomb, this is 3401. Tomb, not this particular Tomb, but the Tomb was my first throwing putter. And that was like last summer, earlier in the summer, springtime, I got a Tomb disc. Really liked it a lot. Okay, let's get into the throws. The first throw was 213 foot par 3. I threw first the Proxy. Nice throw, pretty darn close to the basket. Next I threw the Ohm. And once again, just really nice throw, landed right close to the basket. Felt really good. So these were, around on the order of 200-foot throws. Next I threw the Infinite Disc Tomb. This is an older Tomb, not the same disc I just showed you, and it's the only throw I used that disc on in this series of throws. I found it to behave as the same as the other one that I've just shown you here. As you can see, after the throws, our Ohm ended up closest, followed by Tomb and Proxy at about the same location. So, distance-wise from the hole. Honestly, they all were an easy putt, so that was a success all around. Sure, the edge goes to Ohm. Next hole was a 137-foot par 3. Just a nice, easy standstill throw. We started with the Tomb. That one threw a little more right than intended, still an easy putt. The Proxy I threw next, and that ended up landing just perfect right under the basket. That little backstop's kind of nice. I think it bounced off of it. Followed by the Ohm. Standstill throw. Perfectly straight, right up against the basket. As you can see at the end here, we've got easy putt distance for the Tomb, and then, yeah, our Ohm and Proxy are just right there. So that was really awesome. Okay, for the next hole, I selected a location that was 276 feet away from a basket. And my goal with this was to see how close I could get to the basket, trying to really crank on these and throw them hard. Sure, in the past, I have thrown the Ohm on a extra good throw, 285 feet or 280 feet. I've done that a few times with the Ohm. I haven't thrown the Tomb or the Proxy as much lately, so I'm not sure if there's really any reason I couldn't throw either of those just as far if I had a really good throw. But anyway, let's go ahead and see how these went. As you can see, I put up there the throw distance through the Proxy, 212 feet. Perfect direction, just not as far as I'd like. MVP Ohm, 220-foot throw this time. Also great direction. And nice little bit of stability there. Followed by the Tomb. That throw wasn't as good. It was a little bit higher. But I found that in general, the tomb didn't perform as well for me on these throws. And as you can see, it's farther away, about 200 feet versus 212 and 220 for the Proxy and the Ohm. So next, for my final throw, I really wanted to figure out what will these things do if allowed to glide as far as possible and given an opportunity to throw really far on a hillside. So I decided to do some throws in my backyard over the hill toward the river. And here's a look at what that looks like. I'd say the hill is about 100 to 150 feet elevation difference between that and the field I'm throwing down to. So pretty far drop. And I just went ahead and threw these as far as I could, and we'll see how that went. So first, went with the tomb. A little farther right than intended, but I was aiming to go right over the goats and hyzer down into the grass, and the disc ended kind of in the bottom right corner of the screen there. Threw it 292 feet. So that was definitely farther than my level ground throws. Next, Ohm. Little higher throw as well, but that hyzered in nicely in the middle of the field. 314 foot total throw distance on that one. Then Proxy, I really noticed how this one wanted to go straight longer, and on this long glidey throw it hyzered in nicely at the end, but that one went 323 feet, a little bit farther than the other two. Now, just for a control here, I decided to throw the trail, my driver, to show you how far I can throw that over this type of a hill. Goes amazingly nice and straight, just sails way the heck out there. It's fun to throw that. It's kind of fun to do it over the hill. And 389 feet, that's actually the farthest I've ever thrown the trail right there. Now, does it count? I'm not sure, because sure, it's down a hill. These distances are just horizontal distances. They're not line of sight aiming down the hill distances. So they're conservative, right? But anyway, what I really gathered from that last throw was that the Proxy definitely wants to go straight more and stay in the air a little bit more. I like the line it flew on. The Ohm, if I had not thrown it as high, I feel like would have been a little more similar to the Proxy, maybe gone as far or farther. But either way, this was a good test. And yeah, it was fun to throw that trail just to compare. Okay, so overall, how do we break this down? I ended up feeling like, with the tests, the Ohm had 3 wins, where 2 of those were accuracy-wise, and 1 was distance-wise at the golf course. And then I felt like the Proxy also had 3 wins. I had 2 for accuracy. That would be the first and second hole. I felt like both of those counted as a win. And then 1 for distance when I threw it over the hill and it went as long as it could possibly glide. Went the farthest. Next, the tomb, I feel like only really got 1 win there. Probably user error more than disc fault, but the only win was that first hole where it was just as close to the basket as the Proxy, and an easy putt. We could call the second hole a win just because it was also not that bad of a putt distance, but I got to draw the line somewhere, and this is my subjective, criteria of how I'm scoring these, right? So, overall, I feel like I really like how that Proxy wants to go straight. I hadn't thrown it for quite some time, and that's what happens. You have a disc, you don't use it because you got a new one and replaced it, and then you come back to it and you feel like, wow, this is really great. What was my problem with it before? I don't know. And I feel like my form has changed and my skill has changed. Throw distance is different, and I feel like the Proxy really has potential to do exactly what I want for that neutral approach and putting putter. There's been some times in recent months where I have putted with the Proxy and made Like one round I remember making 3 just really long putts with it on 3 different holes, and it just wouldn't miss. I just was really loving what that Proxy was doing. Not on video, but really awesome. So putting wise, not a problem for me at all. Distance wise, I feel like this thing can do it. I'm gonna go with Proxy. I'm excited to just nail these slots once and for all. Let me know in the comments if there's a neutral approach disc you prefer to these 3 I've shared. I want something that goes straight, does what I want, and is going to also be able to be thrown pretty far. I have kind of adjusted my expectation of distance based on the results of this video. Sure, I can throw the ohm occasionally, 280 plus, but more than likely I'm going to reach for the driver if I need to throw that far anyway. So I think this neutral approach throwing putter slot is most likely going to apply between 0 and 225 feet. And after that, for a straight shot, I'm going with the driver. Some debate if I want to throw a mid-range or a crave in there for, 280 to 300 feet. But for now, we're keeping minimal. We're not going to go that way. All right. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, Rooster, for crowing right as I pushed record. Oh man, that's a bigger one. 1, 2, 3. Carp in the river. Calm river today. Well, the goats do mow this, but it might need an actual mowing this time of year. It's nice down here. I don't have to water ever because the water table is so near the surface. This stays green year round no matter how hot July gets here in Utah. So this thistle plant, goats will eat that, no problem. And then another thing I have endless amounts of is poison hemlock, and goats will eat that, no problem. However, they also eat the bark off of our nice wild plum trees that came with our property. Probably need to do some things to protect those. So far they're surviving pretty well though. Hey goats. All the little goats are hanging out together, one underneath the feeder. There's the big ones. See you later.